Happy Sunday. No, happy Saturday. What is it? I am just trying to catch. So we're just outside of Edinburgh. I'm going to try and catch this EasyJet bursting through the clouds. This is not real. You can't move cameras around like this in real life. As cool as that would be. It looks pretty real, right? This is X-Plane. Is our squeezy jet just bursting through the clouds. Beautiful. Okay, so today we are flying from here. Edinburgh Airport, quite busy, so I'm on X-Pilot right now, on VATSIM. You can see there's already a lot of aircraft around. We do have Tower air traffic controller on. The satellite imagery here is imported through AutoOrtho. It's a free download. There's a GitHub page where you download the zip file, and then you just run the binary file if you're on Linux. I think there's an executable if you're on Windows, but I don't deal with Windows. And so last flight I took a Cessna 172 from Teesside, with our destination being Kirkwall in the Orkney Islands. I think it's the capital or the biggest city in the Orkneys. However, when we were abeam Edinburgh, X-Plane crashed. I didn't crash, the application crashed. Now I do have the beta versions of X-Plane because I like to use the new features, I like to see the new weather, so it's not as stable as the stable channel. That's my choice. That doesn't mean that X-Plane is unstable. It just means that the beta channel is at beta level. So things crash. Okay, we accept that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to resume our flight from Edinburgh Airport. Ooh, is that a Lufthansa cargo? It is a Lufthansa cargo. Let's go to my aircraft here, and you can see a very, very large 777, Lufthansa cargo 777, about to taxi behind us, making our little Cessna look quite small. Also have a JetBlue A320. Looks like it's the A320 CEO, current engine option, which I don't believe you would see getting across the Atlantic into Edinburgh. Somebody correct me, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, this is just a model issue. Does it? It also seems to have an American Airlines call sign, which, okay, sometimes you just have to suspend disbelief. No, suspend belief when you're flying these things. Holy moly! Look at how big that 777 is. And the Boeing 737, famously, the fuselage of the 737 is about the same size as the engine. Those GE90 115B engines on the 777. Okay, so now that I've just divulged my nerdiness, let's get connected up to air traffic control. Let's hear what's going on. I might just turn that down just a touch so you don't get blasted by air traffic controllers. So I can turn on my X-Pilot window, can I? Bosh, there we go. So I am connected to the network. We are Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, or Golf Sierra Tango for short, today. We do have John Linehan on Tower. EGPH, ATIS. Oh, we do have ATIS as well. Okay, so let's read the ATIS. Edinburgh Information Foxtrot. So what I do is I make a note of the current information and just put it in a box, just so it's easy to understand. So we are on Foxtrot. Time 10:57. Oh, what time is it? Where's my watch? There it is, 11:23. So if they do new So it looks like they're doing hourly information updates, otherwise that would have changed to 11:20 Zulu. So the next change in weather will be Gulf, unless there's a significant change in weather, in which case they'll do it more frequently. But we've got about 30 minutes before the next information update. Runway in use is 24, which means we will taxi to there. So we'll come out of our parking spot there, which is stand 200. There's a lot of aircraft just parked at the minute, so I'm guessing air traffic control is currently coordinating that. We'll tune in just a moment. We're going to come out of here, taxi along here, and then take off from runway 24. Runway 24, transition level 70. We're not going to go that high today, so we'll be flying on QNH. We'll be flying on altitudes. The wind today is quite strong, 270 at 11 knots. Thankfully the runway is 240 degrees, so this wind is 270. I wouldn't really want to accept more than an 11 knot crosswind, but because this is going to be pretty much on the nose, we're going to need to do a little bit of crosswind management as we're rolling down the runway, but that is fine. Visibility is 10,000 meters, which is just the maximum. We've got scattered cloud at 3,500 feet. Current temperature is 8 degrees Celsius, and the dew point is 00, which means that the moisture in the air will condense at 0 degrees. Now, because you lose 2 degrees Celsius of temperature per 1,000 feet of altitude, you would expect to reach that dew point at around about 4,000 feet, and because we're seeing scattered cloud at 3,500 feet, that approximates to 4,000 feet, so that's fine. QNH today is 1018, slightly high pressure compared to international standard atmosphere of 1013, or standard pressure setting of 1013. Data link clearances, unfortunately, our little Cessna is not equipped with CPTLC. It is, however, equipped with a very, very nicely functioning VHF radio, so we'll be using that. Available, acknowledge receipt of information F and advise aircraft type, very, very small plane, on first contact. We also have a Shuttle 8 Yankee, Edinburgh traffic, leaving Tartan for ILS runway 24, ETA final 32. So we've got 32 minutes before they get to runway 24. It's an inbound British Airways shuttle. So let's go over to Tower 118705. Now we can't hear them at the moment because, sorry, this 747 is going to. Oh, that's nice. Control tower view. That can I move around? Apologies, I am just having a bit of a scan around, see if I can watch this 777 take off, because I think it's going to make a bit of a scene as it does. Oh, that was a sharp break. Can I escape this plane? Not really. What's the best way to do this? Ooh, that works. Okay, so we can watch this 777 Lufthansa cargo take off. Small power slide there. I really want to hear what air traffic control is saying, but the reason why we can't hear them, as I was saying, is because we haven't actually switched on the aircraft yet, so we have no radios. Look at that nice blue sky. It's just welcoming us into the sky. 777 is rolling. They see me rolling. How much of Edinburgh runway is it going to use? Now this won't be fully smooth because we are working from. Oh, that wasn't too bad though. X-Pilot, that's quite a roll, isn't it? That's a bit wobbly. doesn't bode well for a little Cessna getting airborne here, but... So there we go, crabbing to the right, so 270 is 30 degrees to the right of the nose, so yeah, it does make sense to crab to the right after takeoff. Yeah, let's get this into the air. So let's start with master switches on. Got fuel showing in both the left and the right tanks. Let's get the engine started, so we're going to need some mixture. Just check the fuel is on both. Parking brake is on. We're going to turn the beacon on because we're about to start the engine. Switch the mags to both. Oh, we've got a little bit of traffic jam. You see the windsock is to the right, which will be to the left. So the wind is from the right when we're on the runway. We're going to need a little bit of throttle. And let's start the engine. And then we can turn on the radios. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to leave the engine running at 1200 RPM. We'll get some heat into the engine. Let's get on to 118705. Okay, yes, I'm fine, thanks for asking. Instrument panel self-test. That's all new. I don't think I've seen that for in X-Plane before. 705 is down, not up. 705 and 118. There we go, switch COM1. So we should start to hear. If I have set up my audio correctly, which I have not, obviously. Headset device should be on USB, speaker device should be on USB.
Hello, good morning. Airnaut 308 requesting IFR clearance to Manchester.
There we go.
Airnaut 308 to Edinburgh, good morning. Confirm your aircraft type and stand number, please. Aircraft type is A319, stand number 21, and I have information Foxtrot.
Beautiful.
Airnaut 308, cleared to Manchester, and Gossap 1 Charlie departure, squawk 0470.
Okay, so let's start configuring the aircraft. So we want to be on QNH 1018. There's 10.
Cleared to Manchester via Gossap 1 Charlie departure, squawk 0470.
So we're looking at about 110, 105 feet. No, 110 feet. We'll just hit M on here, click on the airport, go to details. 136 feet is the highest point of the touchdown zone of the main runway, so it's around about the right area, that's fine. We're flying visually today anyhow, so a margin of 10% on the accuracy of the altimeter is not an issue. Let's look at our direction, so we are currently pointing towards 26 degrees. Let's just have a look at the deviation markings on here. So 30, 30, yeah, I'm not even sure that's going to be realistic, so we'll just put this in as 26. Just spin this around to 26. Now then, I have got an initial routing which I've planned, so we'll be going north to the 4th Road bridges on a heading of, we've got a 39 knot wind, so ground speed is going to be very slow. It's going to be around about 40 to 45 knots. So we're going to be on an initial heading of 330. But I think we'll just fly visually to the bridges. 330, and then 343, 343, 342, 334. So all within that 330 to 340 range. We've got a 2 hour 16-minute flight up to Kirkwall.
Whiskey Tango 22 Tango, you're ready to have your clearance.
Roger, ready for clearance.
Whiskey Tango 22 Tango, after departure of right hand, turn out, cleared to leave the Edinburgh control zone to the north.
If I do a direct to,
altitude 2000
Kirkwall is EGPH, just so that we'll keep on the rough direction that we want to be heading in, so EG, and also get guidance on ETAs.
And confirm QNH 1018.
EGPH Kirkwall.
1018,
Activate that.
Easy 89 Charlie Lima, no further ATC, monitor Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
122.8, easy 89 Charlie.
What else do we
This is,
need?
what is this walk again?
7000.
7,000.
And call when ready for clearance. And for taxi.
8 degrees, 11:34. Stacks of fuel.
KLM 926,
We have
taxi now holding point Delta 1.
good oil pressure.
Fire,
The temperature is rising into the green. We've got vacuum in the green, and the ammeter is charging. I'm not using my checklist. It's an awful habit to I've got out of. So the holding point Delta 1 is what he's giving, what air traffic control is giving to others. So let's see if I can find. That's Alpha 17. There's Delta 3. Ah, there we go. So Delta 1 is right, is the closest holding point to the runway. We may, given our size and the complexity that navigating a VFR, a VFR Cessna around airliner traffic can bring, we may be asked to just go to the right. I don't think we will. I think the sequence is pretty well. And once we've taken off, we're going to be going to the north, leaving their zone, and then getting out their hair. So, how are we doing for oil temperature? Yep. T's and P's in the green. Let's try and get out of here on a VFR clearance. Just going to have a quick. Quick look to see that things are working well. Yep, I can see on YouTube that we're up, which is great. Let's make some contact. We are on Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, stand Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, stand 200. Requesting VFR departure to the north. Easy as that. Edinburgh Tower, Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, Cessna 172, request VFR clearance to the north.
Last station calling, I don't have a flight plan for you. Oh, here we are, Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, stand by.
I haven't got a flight plan filed.
Sierra Tango, start up.
Startup approved, Golf Sierra Tango. That's good.
Shuttle 8, Yankee, surface wind 200 degrees, 11, gusting 21 knots, runway 24, cleared to land.
Confirm MT for Shuttle 8 Yankee.
I didn't say I had information Foxtrot either.
Golf Sierra Tango, have you filed a flight plan?
Negative, was hoping to do it VFR, but I'll file one now.
That'd be great, yeah, just it helps me with my situational awareness for the airfield itself.
No problem, thanks. Okay, so it looks like we're filing a flight plan, we'll do it VFR. So I'm going into VATSIM. Trying to remember how to log in.
Landing British Airways A321 Neo on a 4-mile 5 via Delta 1, runway 24, line up and wait behind.
Behind the arriving A320.
Okay, so let me just quickly share my screen. And then you can see what I'm doing. So Can you see that? There we go. So this is VATSIM. VATSIM .net, and what this allows you to do is fly online with other flight sim pilots and flight sim air traffic controllers. We are going to file a VFR flight plan. Our aircraft type is Cessna 172. Weight category is very light. Let's do SDE 2. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. Transponder, we do have mode Sierra. Let's do Charlie. Departure is from EGPH, EGPA. Altitude is going to be 5,500 feet. Airspeed is going to be... airspeed is going to be 80 knots. Oh, off block time. Sorry, I've just spotted. No, I think we've missed it. Off block time is going to be, what are we on now? 11:39, so let's call it 11:45. Arrival is going to be EGPA. The alternate, we don't have one. En route time is going to be 02:16. Fuel endurance is going to be 03:30. We are going to do fourth
Good morning, Lufthansa 9 Tango radio check.
VRP,
Lufthansa 9 Tango, readability 5.
and then
Okay,
direct.
Lufthansa 9 Tango, we're in E320, stand 9. We have information go from board, requesting how far down to Frankfurt.
Lufthansa 9 Tango, stand by. I'll get back to you in a second.
Very well
KLM
spoken,
96,
pilot.
surface wind 280 degrees, 11, gusting 21 knots, runway 24, clear for
So
takeoff.
we have voice, file the flight plan, route must be entered and can only contain
Charlie
alpha.
Yankee, welcome to Edinburgh. Continue now, stand 6 via Alpha and Foxtrot.
Can I do that?
Stand 6 for Alpha and Foxtrot, Shuttle 18K.
And
Lufthansa
slash.
9 Tango, you're clear
Okay, so
to
let's go
Frankfurt,
slash.
Tower 6 departure, squawk 5457.
Cleared to Frankfurt, Lufthansa.
Okay,
Charlie,
so this should
Squawk
now
557,
say
Lufthansa 9 Tango.
kill
Lufthansa 9 Tango, correct.
that. So they shouldn't really need a flight plan if I'm just going to escape the zone to the north, the part of the zone to the north. But here we are.
Blue Max 5969, stand 1 Alpha, push stars approved.
Push start approved, Blue Max 5969.
Golf Sierra Tango, stand 200, information Foxtrot, and you should have our flight plan now.
Golf Sierra Tango, thank you. What are you doing after you've gone to the fourth bridges? Are you just going to be flying local?
Negative, flying north to Kirkwall to go in direct.
Alright, so okay, we'll get you out via the Kelty Lane VRP to the north. Yes, clearance will be given at the hold. Call when ready for taxi.
Ready for taxi, Golf Sierra Tango.
Bye. KLM 926, no further ATC, models Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
Feel like I'm breaking some rules here. So what was the name of the VFR?
Whiskey Tango 22 Tango, leaving controlled airspace, model to Unicom 122.8, bye-bye.
Radio 122.8, goodbye, thank you.
Edinburgh Tower, good morning. Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot on the ILS runway 24.
Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot, Edinburgh Tower, good morning, continue to approach.
Continue approach, Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot.
Golf Sierra Tango, taxi, holding point Charlie 1 for runway 24 via Papa and Alpha.
Taxi to holding point Charlie 1 for runway 4, correction 24 via Papa Alpha, Golf Sierra Tango. Okay, so we're not going off Delta at all, we're going off Charlie. So let's get a move on. Brakes are off. Quickly check our map.
Edinburgh Tower,
So we're going to go left to Charlie. Check that there's no
Alpha Whiskey,
traffic.
readability 5.
Thank you, sir.
So we're going to go left out of here, stay out of the way of all the traffic. I want to get the VRP name that he mentioned. Was it Kirkliston? Should be Charlie just there. Yep.
Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot, surface wind 280
Postman.
degrees 11, gusting
Love it.
21 knots, runway 24 clear to land.
Good land, 24, Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot.
What is Postman? What's that call sign? What's interesting is we didn't get QNH yet. So we don't want to go over the Charlie 1 line, which is this one here. I can feel the wind already on the aircraft. So I'm going to pause here. An aircraft just coming down on approach. We'll hop outside and watch that. BCS. So I think that's the, it's, what do you call it, North Atlantic? Something like that. But it performs, it operates flights on behalf of DHL and Royal Mail, which I guess is why it's...
596 ready for taxi.
Which I guess is why it's called Postman.
Blue Max 59669, taxi to holding point Delta 1 for runway 24 via Echo and Alpha.
So there are a few VRPs around us. Kirkliston, Ilpstoon, Longannet. I would really like to get Forth Row Bridges.
Golf Sierra Tango ready, copy your clear.
Go ahead, Golf Sierra Tango.
Golf Sierra Tango, you're clear to leave the Edinburgh control zone to the north, at above altitude 2,000 feet VFR on the Edinburgh QNH 1018, that's squawk 7000.
Clear to leave the Edinburgh control zone to the north, not above 2,000 feet, QNH 1018 and squawking 7000, Golf Sierra Tango.
Golf Sierra Tango, correct, and the report ready for departure.
Ready for departure, Golf Sierra Tango.
Golf Sierra Tango, thank you. Behind the landing A300 on a very short file via Charlie 1, runway 24, line up and wait behind.
Behind the landing A300, line up behind runway 24, behind Golf Sierra Tango. That was awful. But this is why we fly on Lion.
Good afternoon, Edinburgh.
Through the DHL. Sorry, the fancy behind us. This is nice. There we go, nice DHL.
Good afternoon. Good morning still. Let's continue to approach. You'll shortly become number 1.
So, now we're cleared to line up behind. Normally we'd give it a little bit because we don't want to enter the wake vortex of an aircraft like the A300. So you're fully ready to go, but we've only been given clearance to line up. Gosh, yes, can feel that wind. Amazing how X-Plane does that. Keep those revs up a little bit, keep the engine warm.
Golf Sierra Tango, surface wind 280 degrees 11, gusting 21 knots, runway 24 clear for takeoff.
Runway 24 clear for takeoff, Golf Sierra Tango. Let's go. Right rudder, right rudder, right rudder.
6 Lima Foxtrot, welcome. Continue stand 21 via, correction, stand 211 via Alpha and Mike and Sierra.
Taxi stand
50 knots.
211 via Alpha Mike and Sierra, Postman 6 Lima Foxtrot. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You do.
Let's see how she copes with the wind. Just turn her into the wind a little bit. Whoa, that is interesting wind.
Easy 89 Charlie Lima, yeah, I thought it was the case. From stand 24, push and start is improving, face north.
So we're cleared to the to make that turn. And we're cleared to exit by.
Lufthansa 6 Romeo Whiskey, surface wind 280 degrees 11, gusting 21 knots, runway 24, cleared to land.
Needs just a little bit of
6 Romeo Whiskey.
quite a lot of rudder to get that to turn there. Let's bring those flaps up and get a little bit more performance. Just add a little bit of trim, just keep that nose up.
Aeronaut 308 requesting push and start.
There's 330.
Aeronaut 308 stand, would you stand 2-1, push and start is approved, face north, caution there is an aircraft to your left, it's also pushing back, be aware. Face north, caution the aircraft on the left, Aeronaut 308.
Very bumpy. Got to be careful not to bust through the altitude restriction we've been given, which is 2,000 feet, QNH 1018.
Max 5969 are behind the landing, Lufthansa A320 via Delta 1 runway 24, line up and wait behind.
Okay, and the landing off the A320, line up and wait to runway 24 behind, sorry, Blue Max 596.
Bit squirrely. Climbing out of VY, which is best rate of climb, so 70 knots. On our initial heading of 330 degrees, which should take us to the bridges. And I'm just going to level out now, just because I don't want to blast through that altitude restriction. And we can start to pull back the throttle, just so that it's not going at max power. So, cheating a little bit using my electric trim.
FedEx 24, Edinburgh Tower, hello, continue approach.
Okay, getting very close to that 2,000 foot ceiling.
Edinburgh Tower, wings 879 for whiskey with information gone. Das A321 Neo, stand 15 Bravo, request Alpha adherence zu Stuttgart.
We should.
Wings 87 Alpha Whiskey, good morning, can you refile your flight plan please?
So those are the bridges. They're not looking particularly spectacular in X-Plane, which is a shame, because in reality these both bridges look incredible.
Blue Max 5969 of surface wind 20 degrees 11 gusting.
It's getting very close to 2,000 feet. I'm just going to sort that out. Give ourselves a bit of a margin.
Lufthansa 6 Romeo Whiskey, welcome to Edinburgh, continue now stand 2 via Alpha and Echo.
Because we're flying VFR, we can steer a little bit more towards the north and get back onto that magenta line on the navigation display.
Wings 879 for whiskey should be up.
So at this point we're just pretty much flying direct.
Wings 87 Alpha Whiskey, thank you. You are cleared to Stuttgart, Tower 6 Charlie departure, Scotland 2030.
I suspect they're going to ask us what sort of a service we will want. We would like a traffic service. If they can offer it.
FedEx 24 surface wind 280 degrees 11 gusting 21 knots runway 24 clear to land.
And the fourth bridges, not what they look like in real life.
FedEx 24. Edinburgh Tower, easy 89 Charlie Lima, we are ready for taxi. We are being blocked by 1920.
So, ATE, estimated time en route is 2 hours 4 minutes.
Aeronaut 308 requesting taxi to active runway.
Our airspeed is about 95 knots there, but our ground speed is 85. So right now we've got a 10 knot headwind and a fairly significant crosswind by the looks of things.
Aeronaut 308. Easy 89 Charlie Lima, taxi holding point Delta 1 for runway 24, by Golf Mike and Alpha.
So we point our nose roughly in 335, 340 degrees. Our track along the ground, you can see, is 001, so we're getting about a 20 degree heading deviation just from that crosswind. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. It means that our ground speed is going to drop as a result. So yeah, 80 to 85 knot ground speed, even with 100 knot airspeed, because the vector, the wind vector. I would like to climb fairly soon because it looks like it's got some high ground just to the right of the nose there. You can see up ahead, but we have still got that 2,000 foot altitude restriction at the moment. That looks suspiciously like default scenery. I wonder if auto has stopped working. No, it doesn't. It claims to still be running. It's very strange as well, pointing your nose away from your destination, or at least the track that you want to be on.
24, welcome to Edinburgh, continue out to stand 210 via Alpha, Mike and Sierra. Stand 210 via
Go back
Alpha,
up to
Mike,
cruise power.
Alpha, Mike and Sierra. Alpha, Mike, Sierra, stand 210 FedEx 24, thank you very much.
2350 RPM. Bit of nose down trim to counteract the engine pulling the nose up.
Wings is Alpha Whiskey, stand 15, Bravo, push start improvement, face north.
Push start improved, facing north, over 87 Alpha Whiskey.
Easy 728 Alpha, surface wind 280 degrees 11, gusting 21 knots, runway 24, clear to land.
Lovely day for it though.
Catherine, runway 24, EG728 Alpha.
Okay, so we'll do a quick Frida check. So fuel is looking good, radio is...
All stations, Edinburgh Tower will be closing in approximately 5 minutes time. All stations, all stations.
Okay, so we can do what we want after that.
Golf Tango Sierra, you're leaving controlled airspace, frequency change approved and remain on Godspeed QT, bye bye.
Switching to Unicom, 7000 on the squawk, thanks for the help, Golf Sierra Tango.
Have a good day, bye.
Splendid. Okay, so we have
Air not 308 behind the
permission now to switch to 122.8, Bosch, and because we are now out of controlled airspace, we can now climb to our desired cruise altitude, which is 5,500 feet, on the QNH of 1018. So we're going to maintain 330 on the heading. I'm going to add a little bit of right rudder there just to maintain coordination. I'm going to try and get the nose up to a 70 knot climb, which means that we'll get to our altitude as fast as possible. That doesn't mean... So that there's VY and VX, I think I've explained this before, but if you're new to V speeds, there's a vast array of V speeds that you learn as you're going through your pilot training. VY is best rate of climb, so that's the fastest time that it takes you to go from one altitude climbing to a higher altitude. That's VY. Now then, VY is not the... there's also something called VX, which is the shortest horizontal distance to get to that altitude, which generally means that you point your nose right up in the sky. VX is a much steeper climb, and it will use the shortest horizontal distance to get you up to that altitude. But it can take longer, and the performance of the aircraft is a limiting factor. And it can just take longer to get up there, because you're kind of at the limit of what the wing is able to do. So VY is generally what we use. That'll get you to the altitude the fastest, but you do cover more horizontal distance over the ground to get up there. So just because we're at the bottom of the clock on the altimeter, so the 500 feet, I'm just going to drop the nose, just have a quick scan, just make sure there's no traffic. The engine note will increase, so that's fine. We'll just almost go neutral on the controls, and let the new speed that we've acquired by looking over the nose for traffic, we'll let that speed pull the nose back up again and get us back to our VY climb speed of 70 knots. If you're interested in some of the V speeds, there is, you've probably heard this when on films and TV shows and stuff, when planes are rolling down the runway, you hear them go V1 rotate. So what is V1? V1 means that you've passed the point of the runway where you can safely stop. Up to that V1 call, the aircraft can safely be stopped. So V1 isn't really a speed, it's a combination of a speed and your location on the runway itself. So it's a factor of both of those two, it's a function of both of those two pieces of information. And generally the V1 speed of airliners is calculated by, you will be at this speed based on normal acceleration profiles, you will be at this speed in this point on the runway, which means that you can stop up to that point safely on the runway. And there's margin, there's definitely margin. So if someone shouts V1 and suddenly an engine falls off, you have probably a very, very, very small margin to decide to abort the takeoff. I believe it's also different between Airbus, standard operating procedures, and Boeing. On Airbus, as soon as you say V1, it's too late. On Boeing, I believe, please, I'm not a pilot, I'm not licensed, do not consider this to be factual in any way, shape or form. This is just my understanding, and it may be the other way around as well. But on Airbus, once you say V1, you've passed the point. You are committed to the takeoff. On Boeing, V1 is a decision point. So at that point, you can still make the decision to fly or to stop. So V1 rotates. So VR is your rotation speed. If you're on a long runway, let's say you're taking off from Heathrow in an Airbus A320, like an EasyJet or like JetBlue flies, that sort of thing. Or if you're an American, like Southwest would fly a 737. Big runways, LAX, JFK, you know, they don't need all the runway by any stretch of the imagination. The runways are designed for huge cargo aircraft stacked to the rafters with the heaviest cargo. Not you and me going on holiday with a few kilos of underpants in the hold. So on a long runway, 500 feet to go.
Traffic here, not 308. Departing runway 240 as it goes Sam 1 Charlie departure. Climbing through.
Oh, look at that, we've got real scenery again.
Flight level 230.
A bit of gorse. Some forestry around that. Around that lake. Oof, I do like the cloud shadows as well. 100 feet to go. So once we get to 50 feet, which is about there, I'm going to start lowering the nose. Start bringing it down. Try and capture that 5,500 feet. So we do attitude. We do power. And we do trim. As the song goes, aperture. Much easier to fly with a trim wheel as well. So I think I'm going to, because we're getting a little bit far away from the magenta line, I'm just going to change our bug on the heading display there, the DI, the direction indicator, and try and get the aircraft just to settle into a cruise, which it is doing. I can take out some of that rudder now. She's climbing just a tad. She'll bring us up to 5,500 feet herself. But I'm going to get to that point now. Right, I'm completely hands off the controls there. I think she needs a little bit of nose up trim. There we go, completely hands off. So a well trimmed aircraft just flies itself. You just need very, steering slightly to the left, but we're in some pretty strong winds, so some gentle aileron, some gentle roll just to counteract that, and the aircraft is just flying itself. You don't need an autopilot in a plane like this.
Lufthansa 900 taxi to holding point Delta 1, Q4 via Foxtrot and Alpha.
There we go. So ET has gone up to 2 hours 10 minutes. Don't think we'll get all the way up there today. May drop into RAF Lossiemouth. Go and see some Eurofighters. That'd be pretty cool. Gorgeous scenery up here in Scotland. I'm just going to dial up the cruise power just a little bit to 2350 because it was running a little bit low. Just a little notch of nose down trim just because we've still got a bit of a climb rate on. And there we go. This is going nicely. Definitely default scenery on that side. I suspect we've got a mixture of default and satellite imagery on that side. I'm not sure why AutoOrtho's doing that. I need to have a bit of a play around. So we've got some clouds up ahead. We're VFR, we can't fly into clouds. We need to maintain 1.5 kilometers laterally around us from clouds and 1,000 feet vertically from clouds. Fortunately for us, we're VFR, so we can just fly around them. Just need to be very careful that the clouds don't come to us in windy situations. You see that there? Those are several kilometers away. Just need to be very aware of them. My one of my instructors, because I've had a few, one of my instructors said to treat clouds like toxic gas, clouds of toxic gas. And that sort of incentivizes you to keep away from them. So, a little bit high. Apart from that, looking pretty good. So our track is 352. What did our flight plan say our track needed to be? For this part it needs to be a bit further north, so we need to be tracking around about 002. Let's just see what that looks like on the DI. So actually that's going to bring us around about where the orange bug is. So yeah, we'll just follow that orange bug. We'll go a little bit to the right, try and get onto the magenta track. Let's steer this way. So you can hear the engine note change when we start to dive a little bit because of the nose down pitch of the aircraft. And what you will see at the top right, so we've got that instrument with the horizontal line that's got a diagonal white line on it. Let me just call it out with the mouse. This one here. So what will happen is, as we get over to the magenta line, that diagonal line will start to move into the middle, the vertical middle, to the centre of that instrument, and it will effectively get a white cross. And that's because just above it you can see a GPS light lit up, and that's because our navigation is switched from nav, which is using radio beacons, to GPS. We've got the GPS source, GPS navigation source, is our screens on the right hand side, the navigation displays on the right hand side. Now, what's harder to do, I find, in a sim, compared to real life, is just keep a constant scan. So you look right, you look straight ahead, quickly check your altitude, pitch, your attitude, your speed, etc. Check your vertical speed, and then keep scanning for other aircraft. Scan, scan, scan. Also look above. Scan, scan, scan. So, I believe up ahead we have Perth Schoon Airport, EGPT. Just pop open this. So EGPT is there. And that was kind of my first potential stopping off point, if we needed it. Which I don't think we do. And just keep flying. And then we want to be flying on a heading of 342 and a track of 006. That's fine. So around Perth, which is a lovely Scottish town, you've got this river, which you can just see here. So this river that flows, you've got an island in the middle of the river here, and then Perth Schoon Airport is airfield, it's just up here. And I want to shout out, there's a really good flight school there as well, which you can just go and watch from the cool cafe. I think is it ACS flight school? It's pretty good. Loads of different planes, single engine twins as well if you want to get your multi-engine ratings. I think we've got a diamond. There you go. That's I think that's the Tay, River Tay. And you can just see a little aircraft label appearing behind the behind the cowling just there. So if I zoom in, there is Perth Schoon Airport, and yep, that looks pretty accurate. It's basically a line of prefabs. Very tempted to do a touch and go there, to be honest, but I won't, not on this occasion. We've got places to be. So, we did a half-baked feeder check before. So we did fuel. Fuel's still looking good on both tanks. Radio, we're on Unicom. E is engine, so let's check the engine parameters. T's and P's are in the green. Vacuum is still showing in the green. Ammeter is charging. RPMs are stable at cruise power. D is direction indicator, so we're showing slightly before 342 on there, so let's dial that into there as well. And then A is altitude. We're going to try and stick at 5,500 feet. We're pretty much there, and we're still on QNH because the transition altitude was 7,000 feet at Edinburgh, but in reality we should probably be now on standard pressure, because we're now above the standard class G transition altitude, which is 3,000 feet. So we're now flying on flight level, so if anyone asks what we're doing, we are on flight level 5.5, well technically 5.4 at the minute until I climb 100 feet, but we'll just do a little gentle climb. Good at flight level 5.5. And that's because our track should be slightly easterly of true north. Well, of north. It's not at the moment. The UK doesn't strictly adhere to what we call the semicircular route and the standard transition altitudes across the UK. It's not strict, and that's by design. The CAA has, well, so there's a few different regulations. There is the Air Navigation Order, which is the 2016 legislation which defines the laws for licensing pilots and aircraft and all that good stuff. And then there was a harmonised Europe-wide, EU-wide set of regulations called the Standard European Rules of the Air, SERA, or SERA. And the SERA basically defined standardised ways of flying across the EU bloc. And then something happened in 2020 and the UK got its own copy of the SERA, which became the UK Standard European Rules of the Air, which is, yeah. Now this has actually had a direct impact on pilots like me, or student pilots like me, because my initial plan was to go for what was called a light aircraft pilot license, a LAPL. Not the PPL, not the private pilot license, just the LAPL, because of the type of flying that I want to fly. I just want to stay visual. I've got no need to carry up to 19 passengers. I can still carry 3 passengers plus me in a little Cessna 172 on a LAPL license, but there are restrictions, which you would only be able to unlock things like tailwheel licenses and night ratings on a PPL. Now I think night rating is going to change. I think that will come into the LAPL at some point, although the LAPL has now changed to the National Private Pilot License, the NPPL. So lots of changes going on right now, enabled by Brexit. But for me, where I was going to get the LAPL, prior to Brexit, I would have been able to use that to fly internationally into Europe. So it was a European Aviation Standards Authority, EASA license. So I could have flown to, the north of France, for example, and grabbed a baguette and some stinky cheese. But since Brexit, that's now been removed, and the LAPL license is no longer recognised in Europe. So I would need to get a PPL to fly into Europe, which is a pain. Not a huge pain. You can convert a LAPL into a internationally recognised PPL. Although I think there is still a conversion from a UK PPL to an EASA PPL. But I think it's more about getting your licence stamped rather than having to go through a full test. Anyhow, well, what was I talking about? So the standard rules. So in many countries there is a standard transition altitude that aircraft need to start flying on flight levels. In the US, it's 18,000 feet as standard. So as soon as you go above that, then you're on the flight levels. Below that, you fly altitudes and you fly on altimeter settings, which is inches of mercury, which we call QNH in the UK and the rest of the world, in fact. But in the UK, there is a notional standard that when you climb above 3,000 feet on a QNH, an altimeter setting, which is based on pressure, local pressure settings, then you should switch over to a standard pressure setting and fly on flight levels. But this is not enforced in the UK because it adds a little bit of altitude diversity to VFR aircraft. So if some people are flying on
Golf Charlie Sierra November entering backtracking runway 09 on Charlie.
So it just means that we'll get a bit mixed up with it in the air a bit more, and it just reduces, in theory, the chance of collisions. And the reason why, so our track is now 001, which is looking a lot healthier. The reason why I'm flying on 550 and not, flight level 55, not flight level 65 or 45, is because when you're flying to the west side of the compass, so between
traffic Golf Sierra November is taking a 427 to the northeast.
180 to 359 on the track, then you should be on a even flight level plus 500 feet, and if you're flying on the east side of the compass, so 360 down to 180, then you should be on, or 179, then you should be on a odd flight level. It's like 5,000 feet plus 500 feet. I don't think I explained that very well. So that is one of the coolest views I've ever had in a plane, looking out the back and seeing clouds and stuff, and seeing the rudder wiggle a little bit. Don't quite get the same effect in the simulator, but that's fine. 1 hour 54 minutes of me blithering on until we get to Kirkwall. So, slight climb to try and get back to flight level 55. I'm just going to do a quick feeder check again. So fuel's still looking good, radio's good because we've just heard that pilot taking off from what I think was Perth. Engine's still in the green, that's all looking good. Direction indicator is 340, still slightly down. Really want to be a little bit to the right now. That's 3, that's 4. I'm just looking at the track on the nav display at the top right on the GPS. So that's the heading that we should have. So we'll keep that bug at the top of the DI. Go. So that was the D for DI, for direction indicator, and then A altitude is still a bit low. Just pop the nose up a notch. So estimated time on route has gone down to 1 hour 43. Even with default scenery, it's still quite pretty in Scotland. Now, just a little bit cloudy up ahead. Need to make a decision on what we're going to do there. A bit hazy to the right. Try and maintain some distance from those clouds. So, what happens if we get up there and we just meet a wall of cloud? We'll see if we can go over it. We'll see if we can go under it. What we can't do is go through it. It's not like the Bear song. Is it the Bear song? Is it we're going on a bear hunt? That's it, yeah. So, in that situation, if it's a real wall of cloud from the ground all the way up to 40,000 feet, we just turn around and land where we can. Or we can try and circumnavigate it. But we would need some assistance from air traffic control, or from our friends at Lamana Research. So it looks like we do have a fairly clear route up to here. It's going to get very cloudy around Lossiemouth. So maybe we can start to turn towards Inverness. And I'd actually probably go right instead, go out towards Aberdeen, because it looks a bit clearer there. I'm beginning to turn. My throttle just got knocked. Oh, just saw a blink of a label over here, VATSIM label. Just maybe some other aircraft around. In fact, if I can just keep a little bit of right aileron in to stop us from turning. We've got an aircraft behind us heading up towards, by the looks of things, Aberdeen. We've got an aircraft, an EasyJet at Aberdeen, but that's parked at the gate. We've got an aircraft up here, a twin, near Inverness. And we've still got traffic down at Edinburgh, but nothing really apart from the aircraft behind us that constitutes a threat to us at the moment. We just need to stay vigilant of that aircraft behind. How are we doing for time? 12:23. I think, yep, just seen some wind turbines in the window there. So there's a really good helicopter pilot, he also flies light aircraft, called Rory. He's got a YouTube channel called Rory on Air, and I recently watched a video of him and his wife fly from Manchester Barton up to, oh lordy, where did they go? They went through Edinburgh airspace and then they went up to Kirkwall, I think. But some of the scenery in that video is fantastic. I'll see if I can edit the video and add that as a link. It's worth watching. So he is currently flying Bristow helicopters out to oil rigs and ships and stuff like that. And recently he started to post lots of videos about him doing that. Very exciting. And I believe he flies out of Aberdeen. And that's where Bristow has got quite a large fleet and a large base, because obviously there's a lot of offshore oil rigs accessible from Aberdeen, the closest large airfield. So we've got some terrain up ahead. The minimum safe altitude that I calculated for this is 4,600 feet. So we're 1,000 feet above the MSA minimum safe altitude. Throttle not sounding great. Let's just see if we've got any other. Nope, we've got no other air traffic controllers. EISN, I believe, is Shannon Centre. So that's the island. Shannon Control, covering Dublin, Cork, Shannon, not Kerry, not the Scottish Highlands, unfortunately. So you can hear the engine note dropping. That's because we were climbing quite considerably. And I mentioned this in the first part of this video. Some pilots will choose to have music on in the cockpit. I worry about that because it means you can't hear the engine. So, I think I'm going to climb 2,000 feet here. I'm just looking at those clouds above. I'd like to climb. I think what I need to do first of all is let's sort out the mixture. So we want to be lean of peak, which is about there. The engine's going to be running with a bit more air and a bit less fuel going into it. And we need to tweak the mixture because there's just less oxygen, less air at this altitude. So by reducing the amount of fuel, you don't run rich and you get a good balance of oxygen and fuel going into the engine. So it just makes the engine a bit more efficient. Just in two minds about climbing here. I would like to. I think it's going to give us a bit more options if the engine quits, so let's commit. Nose up to VY. Get a little bit of right rudder going. Too much right rudder. The rudder destabilizes the planes in X-plane more than I find that it does in the real planes. Just my view. So do more of a cruise climb now, so 80 knots. Just maintaining that forward velocity, bringing that, just bring the nose up just a bit to climb us to the altitude that we want. Trying to maintain coordination. That up and down bouncing as well is not something that you get to play in, because I'm just trying to keep it steady, but you don't quite get the finesse. I'm actually using the joystick here, not a yoke as well, which doesn't help. It's a bit less sensitive. You don't quite get the finesse that you get from holding onto a proper yoke or a proper control stick that you would get with the joystick, I find. And that mostly comes down to the amount of movement you've got. So with a yoke, you've got the whole cockpit pretty much to push and pull and turn the yoke, whereas I mean, the Cytec yoke I've got, you do have quite a large movement in it. I think it'll be a lot smoother if I was flying on that than with the joystick. Because with the joystick you just got this little circle that you can spin around in. It's a lot more sensitive, I should say. It's a lot less finessed. So 200 feet to go to 7,500 feet. That's just going to give us the optionality that I think we need in case we get an engine quit, to find somewhere suitable to land. So you can see now the navigation instrument at the top right, that diagonal line is starting to become a bit more vertical as we're closing up on that magenta line. A bit too harshly there. Busted through the altitude. So up, it's up, attitude, power, get down to cruise power 2350, and then trim. And again, trimming an aircraft, I'll wind out the rudder as well. Trimming an aircraft in the real aircraft is much simpler. You just feel the weight come out of the controls, but when there is no weight in a joystick, it's actually quite difficult to find that balance of trim and trying to figure out where you need to be. So we're now actually heading directly for, we're on a divergent track with the magenta line, which shouldn't be the case because we know we have a considerable crosswind. So let me just steer this onto 330 on the DI. Try and find the right track that we should be on, which is 006. Come on, plane. Turn it to the right a little bit. There's 002, 003. Bit more. Bit more. Bit more. 4, 5, 6. And that is what we'll lock in at the top of the DI. So the orange bug is now pointing towards where we should be. Now that's interesting because our track we're not a million miles away from the magenta line. So I guess this is probably because sorry, DTK is 5, that's what we should be on. So keep us parallel, keep us at 340 degrees on the heading. We are climbing. Try and get back down to 7,500 feet or flight level 75. There's lots of little valleys in here, which is probably what I would aim for if the engine quit. Let's hope it doesn't. Going okay. Now, let's just quickly see on the map where that other aircraft is. So it's there. We are currently power sliding through the highlands at the top of the screen just here. We're about to see a shuttle heading up, I'm guessing to Inverness, pass us on the left hand side. I think what I might do is EGQS. I think that's going to be our destination for today. EGQ RAF Lossiemouth, not really supposed to land at RAF Lossiemouth, of course. So we need to be on a 358 track. Should be around about where that orange bug is, that's there. Start descending just a touch, just pull that engine, pull the RPMs back a little bit, keep that nose in the horizon. With the reduced power, that'll just pull us down just a little bit back to our desired flight level. So 39 minutes to Lossiemouth. Why am I climbing? Why am I climbing? This is something I'm quite bad for. Altitude management. Okay, so we've wandered into a bit of a cloud bank here, which is not good for a visual pilot. So I'm gonna get 1,000 foot of vertical clearance by climbing above it. You don't normally find that clouds roll in like that in reality. I'm guessing there's just been a weather update. Above it either, because you're never quite sure if you're going to be able to come back down through it. But it's a sim, so let's do it anyway. What's interesting is our track. I think our DI is probably misconfigured. And the cloudy haziness is gone. That was weird. My trim has gone all funny, so I'm guessing that the wind has changed as well. What are we now on? So we are on track of 344, 346. CBR track of 348, which is there. Our heading. Should be 3 degrees to the right. Now, what we did say before was that Lossiemouth was covered in clouds. So, in reality, I wonder if Inverness might be a better option for us. I'd rather stay north. Let's keep trying for Lossie and see what happens. But yeah, these clouds are looking a bit not very visual flight rules compliant. I was going to stay at flight level A5 now because we are technically a little bit westerly. Noticed that I had a comment from somebody who was in the Ryanair a moment ago. So, just a human VV1, I hope you had a good flight. Just start to see a little bit of sea at the top of the navigation display. That's 50 miles away. We're going to have to be maybe just a little bit creative around these clouds. What other options do we have? It is clearer to the east. It's not clearer to the west. Because the wind is coming from 270, that's over there, so all that cloud is going to head towards us. I think in reality, if I was flying for realsies, I'd be heading over there and going to land at Aberdeen, because that looks pretty formidable cloud, and I can see us very easily losing our ability to maintain VFR. These are the challenges that we face when we're flying, and it's fun, so. And for anyone asking, can he really just go to Edinburgh, take off, fly around wherever you want? And the answer's kind of yes. Visual flight rules is just like, you know, taking your car out. You are trusted every single day you drive your car with a couple of tons of metal. It can be a weapon. You can kill yourself in it. You can kill others and hurt others in it. It's no different in a plane. But you've gone through a driving license process to prove that you can drive safely as possible. And student pilots and licensed pilots do fly by themselves pretty much wherever they choose. That's the freedom of the air. Now there's a higher barrier for entry with flying, I would say. It's much more expensive. You've got a lot more. You haven't just got one theory test. You have got 9 theory tests to pass to get your private pilot license, and I believe it's another 9 to get your commercial license, your ATPL. Or to get your commercial, then to get your ATPL. So the barriers are very high. But once you've gone through that process and you've learned how to conduct yourself, how to use the radio, how to adhere to the rules, how to fly safely, then yes, you get the freedom of the air and you can do what you want. Unless you're in controlled airspace, in which case you do whatever the air traffic controller wants. But there are large areas of uncontrolled airspace all around the world, in pretty much every region, every country. So you can see right now we are not in any controlled airspace. These red blocks, these red borders, that is controlled airspace. There's a lot of controlled airspace between Glasgow and Edinburgh airports. It's a very high traffic area, to the point that actually they've got different layers, like a layer cake of air traffic, of controlled airspace. And they've got what's called a control area, a CTA, which sits on top of control zones, CTZs, around the airfields. And notionally around every airfield there's a aerodrome traffic zone, an ATZ, but if it's within a CTZ you kind of discount the ATZ. Just kind of imagine it doesn't exist. 27 minutes. Cloud is okay. That looks probably too close in reality, but I haven't really got a lot of options. Could maybe steer to the left a little bit. I guess the main risk when you're flying around RAF Lossiemouth is that a Eurofighter is going to pop out of the cloud in your direction. And you really want to be away from clouds, just so if that does happen, we've both got some options to try and steer away from each other. Gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. I don't know where we are in relation to, like, Loch Ness. I think Loch Ness is up there. There's a split through the centre of the Highlands, and that's where Loch Ness is. Just trying to avoid this cloud now on the left. Treat us like clouds of toxic gas. Honestly, that does sort of echo around in my brain. It's a good little motto. We've got pretty good visibility. We don't have good visibility below, so something could, and in the past has, climbed up into aircraft that you couldn't see above, they can't see below, and there's a collision. That does happen. Thankfully not very often. And I think at this point, again in real life, I would be in contact with a station called Scottish Information, and I would have requested, well, a basic service at the least from them, or maybe a traffic service from one of the airports nearby. and they will be telling me about any radar blips that they see on their scopes. Try and keep us all separated. Now that looks to me, straight ahead, like the start of a cumulonimbus cloud, a CB. Which is like an anvil-shaped cloud. What is our plan to get out of Dodge? Our plan to get out of Dodge is to immediately grab a tailwind and head straight for Aberdeen out to the east. I do not like the look of that cloud. And what's interesting is, that cloud really exists. This is real satellite imagery, but I think if we skirt through these clouds to the left, we can then come to the east and land at Lossie. That's the plan. So kind of head into that gap just there. Lovely, lovely scenery. Some flat areas which we could land on if the engine quits. That's something else that you kind of just start doing automatically. Just have a quick scan and just keep a list of flat areas that might be suitable for an emergency landing in your head. But that looks very convective. That's rising hot air forming into a big storm cloud. That's what you get thunder and lightning from. We don't want to get anywhere near that bad boy in a little plane like this. So you'll notice our nav gauge here is showing that we're on the magenta line, which you can see here. And because we haven't told it any vertical VNav speed, vertical nav configuration, it's just keeping us flat, keeping that white line flat in the middle. But for now, it's doing what it should. I am just going to try and shoot through that hole in the cloud straight ahead. I'm going to see if that works. Now that cloud is moving. It's moving actually from left to right. So if we keep our nose in the middle of it, the air should be shifting us to the right with the cloud. Why is our revs dropping a bit? There we go. And then we should be able to work our way through it and then drop into the boys and girls at RAF Lossiemouth. If you haven't watched it and you have access to Channel 4 in the UK, there's a great series, I think it's called Top Guns, and it's all about the Eurofighter squadron that's based at RAF Lossiemouth. I think RAF Lucas as well. Yeah, following the RAF. It's very good. If you're a bit of a plane nerd, which you must be because you're watching YouTube videos of people flying in flight simulators. So, there we go. Embrace your inner flight sim nerd. You're a plane nerd. So a lot of those mountains, those hills, have got very flat tops. Presumably from years and years of being smashed by Scottish winds. And we've got some fields up ahead. Now all I'm doing now is just basically making a list of options. If the engine was to die now, I would look around and I would commit to a landing zone, and then I would follow a forced landing procedure where I would try and land in one of those fields, or on top of the mountains if I thought that was a smoother, better surface to land on. Actually quite a few areas which are quite long and thin, which would be quite suitable. That's a big cloud off to the left there. I want to try and avoid that, but it's it's moving into our path. I've got an idea. If I can just get this trimmed properly so it doesn't keep bouncing up and down like it has been. If we click on here, current conditions, few clouds at 950 feet, so this all looks good. We just need to figure out how we get through this bit of cloud here, and then it looks like on the other side Lossiemouth is actually quite clear of cloud. I'm going to steer slightly to the right, try and get through these clouds before they move into our path. And then I may be able to descend through that gap just to the left of the nose there. Quite stressful, and it's a lovely thing to be doing, but it's quite stressful when you've got to balance the weather and fuel and freezer checks, which I haven't done for a little while, monitoring all your altitude and navigation and radio. There's a lot to do. So there is a cloud just under the nose. I'm going to fly over that, and then I'm going to start descending on the other side. Try and keep that cloud away from us. So we'll just sit up. So that to me is how I sit in the plane. So you can see a bit more further up, and then it just keeps you a bit more focused on what's going on outside rather than the instruments. Doesn't really work in X-plane. Are we climbing? Is that why the engine note is? Yeah. Those clouds are coming very close. Did we get over that cloud? Nope, I can still see it. A little bit of moisture on the windscreen there. Did you see that? That happens when you're around clouds. Okay, so we're just trying to keep as direct as possible now to Lossiemouth. And I think I'm going to start a bit of a cruise descent, so 2,000 RPM. Start that cruise descent. That's looking good there, so we've got 18 minutes on our estimated time en route. Cloud free ahead, which is nice. Got around that cloud just fine. Cloud below that we don't really want to descend into, so we'll just reduce our descent rate a touch. Get over it and then we'll descend a bit more. Just about make out the sea up ahead. So you can see the cloud just on the left of this, the Lindbergh window, just here. That's what we want to make sure we're not going to descend through, in case there's something else climbing through it on the other end. And then we are going to continue our descent down to Lossiemouth. Great shadows now in the clouds as well. Looks pretty realistic, I think. It's very immersive. Let's just steer back onto the right track. So 330 is a roundabout, the right heading for a track of 358, so still getting a 20-degree deviation from the wind. And I think we're good to start descending a bit more now. The engine note is a bit low, so we can keep it at 2350 RPM, but some of that RPM is just purely because of the airflow during the descent. It's easy to spin the propeller, for the engine to spin the propeller when we are descending. So we've got 15 minutes to landing. How far have we got? 20 miles. Lossiemouth traffic, Cessna, Golf Lima Oscar, Sierra Tango, 20 miles to the south, inbound for landing, ETA 15 minutes, Lossiemouth.
Inverness traffic, Speedbird 4 Papa Echo is 3 knots, 5 knots runway 23.
Cool, so there's British Airways somewhere off to our left, landing at Inverness. What I always forget to do, and this is something I need to work on, is you never just give your location as altitude, you should also give your location, so you should never give your location just as distance from the airfield. So yes, 20 miles south is fine, but at 5,000 feet, 2,000 feet, flight level of 370, you need to give three-dimensional, or two-dimensional location, really, which I don't do. So, still slowly descending, coming down through 7,500 feet. I probably should descend a bit more, but just given the high terrain, I'm not in a rush. I would rather overshoot the airport, the airfield, and then have to turn around and continue my descent as I approach the airfield from the north, which is over the sea. Obviously there's no high terrain over the sea. But as we gently descend, make use of the energy we've got from climbing up so high to take some of the stress off the engine and just cruise it down. Now then, what I'm not familiar with is the airfield. So there's 0523. I think 23 is probably going to be the runway we'll land on. Wind is 26. There is a 28 that looks like a grass strip, which we could land on, but let's just land on 23 because we're going to have a crosswind either way. Let's have a nice long runway in case we float or just can't get it down. Can't get it down in time. So we've got 12 to 13 minutes before we arrive at Lossiemouth. Don't see the call sign label for that British Airways. This will be over there somewhere. There it is. So Inverness is also an option, but given the oh, actually, what was the wind speed? Wind speed is 20 knots. It's quite high winds. It's not going to be any better at Inverness, so I would rather just use my fuel approaching, doing several approaches into Lossiemouth, using a nice long runway which is suitable for RAF jets, and just try and get it down here rather than travelling along the coast to Inverness and just encountering the same weather conditions. Nice flat ground over there if we needed to land. Some fields over there as well. Looks pretty good. Quite a lot of forestry around, which you need to be careful of. Not doing the best job of descending. Just a little bit of nose down trim just to keep that nose held below the horizon. 10 minutes until landing, or 10 minutes to our waypoint, which is the airfield. Pretty big clouds that way. There's definitely a weather system rolling in. You can see it. Yeah, you can see this. There'll be a weather front here, which is rolling in at fairly high speed, 30 knots. So get on the ground, and then next time, hopefully with good weather, maybe tomorrow, we'll do our last hop up to Kirkwall. Shame there hasn't been more air traffic control on this trip than there has been. The controller at Edinburgh was fantastic and sequenced us out in the midst of lots of cargo flights. That Postman DHL A300 was quite cool to see, and we got out just before that. I think it was a British Airways came into land. They did a great job. Slightly disappointing seeing no Forth bridges in their glory. Please do go straight on Wikipedia, search for the Forth bridges. They are beautiful. There's a rail bridge which is red, and it's famous because it takes 80 years to paint, and when you finish you've got to start all over again. And then there's a brand new spire style suspension bridge. It looks absolutely amazing, which is the road bridge across the Forth, and it just looks absolutely incredible. So what I can do now is bring in the range of the navigation display. So that's 20 miles. Even though it says it's 10 miles to our destination. Interesting. That cloud on the right just looks a bit angry to me. Try and keep clear. Keep clear of underneath it as well, in case there's any downdrafts. Wind shear in a small plane like this can be pretty deadly. Ooh, that's cool. That does look like satellite scenery. That looks like there's some dirt tracks or chalk roads or something down there. So 10 minutes out, we need to be descending better than I am. So let's take some throttle out. Get that nose down. And then we'll do a standard overhead join. Lossiemouth traffic, Cessna, Golf, Lima Oscar, Sierra Tango, 10 miles to the south, 5,000 feet. Inbound for landing, joining overhead. Lossiemouth. That's all the information you need. So we'll do a standard overhead join, that's a 2,000 foot join. Which I'm not used to doing, interestingly, because where I originally learned how to fly at Eshot, they've got a 1,500 foot joining altitude, which is not throttle. And I believe, I'm just trying to work that out, why was it 1,500 feet? It should be 2,000, that's a standard joining altitude. But it's a very small airfield, so maybe it's just you're not going to be able to descend fast enough from 2,000 feet to 1,000 feet and stay within the pattern. The other thing is that there are a few other airfields around it. There's Athys Moor, which is a microlight airfield to the just 5 miles away, really, to the west. Can't imagine they would they have a 2,000 foot joining altitude? Maybe. That could then keep everyone separate. Never really asked, and I'm regretting not asking now. So Lossiemouth should be right ahead of the nose, right on top of the nose there. That cloud off to the right, which is looking a bit dodge, is slowly drifting to the right. I think I'm going to go down to about 3,000 feet. Still doing 100 knots plus, even though the engine's not working very hard, and that's because we're trading altitude for speed. Come down to 3,000 feet, and then go down to 2,000 feet for the overhead join. Now what's different about trimming in a flight sim with a joystick is you add trim so you can center the joystick and take your hand off. In a real plane with trim tabs, you trim to take the pressure out of the flight controls, and that may not leave the controls centered. The controls may be towards you or away from you, not centered, so you don't get the same sort of trim experience in a simulator with a joystick as you do in the real planes. And if you're trying to figure out what that would mean, how that would feel, go for a discovery flight. I can't recommend them enough. Just go up with an instructor, let them take you for a little flight, ask them if you can do the trim wheel or the trimming yourself, and you'll feel the weight leave the controls. It's amazing. Especially if you're coming into land and you trim it just right, and to the point where you can literally just take your hands off the controls and it'll just glide down a sensible 3-degree or 500 foot per minute approach. That feels absolutely magic. Now that I'm not seeing, there it is. So get under this cloud, We'll do an overhead join at 2,000 feet. Look like flying under clouds that look like that. I wonder what they're reporting their weather to be like at the moment. Still a few. I disagree. So 2,300. Going really fast here. Don't want to overstress the aircraft. Okay, so trying to balance leveling out here. With avoiding that cloud. So we're going to descend dead side, we're going to assume a left hand circuit. Lossiemouth traffic, Golf Lima Oscar Sierra Tango, Cessna 172, overhead 2,000 feet, descending dead side for landing runway 23, Lossiemouth. So we're going to cross over the runway at what the Americans call midfield. Once we're on the other side of the runway, we can start doing what's called a dead side descent, descending dead side. And if it's a left-hand circuit, which they usually are, we are staying on the dead side, not the live side of the pattern of the circuit. So around about here, I'm going to drop down to 1500 RPM. Do a gentle 15-degree. Interestingly, that other runway is not grass. Not sure why it was showing up as grass. You see all the barracks and the hangars for the Eurofighters just there. So now we want to be on a heading of around approximately 230. I found in Cessnas, both the 172 and the 150, 1500 RPM gives you the right level of control with the right kind of descent rate. Not properly at the upwind end. We'll cross over the threshold here. Should be 1,000 feet. Keep it descending. Turn it downwind. This is really sloppy. So we want to get 230 behind the aircraft, and that should bring us parallel. Pretty far out. Lossiemouth traffic, Golf Sierra Tango, downwind runway 23, Lossiemouth. Mandatory downwind call. That cloud is pretty scary. So we'll keep going downwind until the numbers are at 45 degrees. We don't have to go all the way because we're quite far away from the airfield as it is. There's 1,000 feet. Don't actually have the what's the QNH for here. 10:15. There we go, 1,500 feet. Try and not touch that again. That should give us the performance and the descent rate that we need. Slow down a little bit so that we are into the white arc. That's our flap operation arc. Speed will, RPMs will reduce. Trying to keep it around about 700 to 800 feet until we turn onto final. So we're on base leg right now. I'm going to do a slightly dogleg base just because we are quite far out. Let's check nothing's going to fly in over our shoulder here. Try and maintain a 700 foot per minute descent rate. We're a bit high, that's okay. It's a long runway. I'm going to add another notch of flaps. Lossiemouth traffic, Golf Sierra Tango, final runway 23, Lossiemouth. So I'm having to pretty much fly north to get that anywhere near flying down the centre line, which is cool. Watch those trees. Okay, didn't think I'd actually made it down there. That was quite a smooth landing. Pull those flaps up just so we don't get dragged by the wind. Full right ailerons because we've got quite a stiff wind coming from the right, it seems. I'm going to park up in one of those Eurofighter hangars just because I can. I can find a way off the runway. So yeah, I didn't hear the squeak of the wheels on the runway there, which is why I kept the nose up for so long. I thought we were still trying to feel the wheels onto the runway. That didn't happen, so that's why I went a little bit, quite a lot, off the centre line. So how do I get to those hangars? See a taxiway sign up here. Try and use that. Okay, so down there to the left and then park up next to a Typhoon, I guess. I love these wet patches on the runway, that's really nice. Nice addition to X-Plane. The uniform water has gone. In fact, you can see like the shape of the concrete under the water. You can see standing water. It has really come together well, this weather engine. Wouldn't it be amazing to do this for real? Bothering the Eurofighters. Don't even know if you can get into hangars on X-Plane. Are they built in such a way that you can drive into them? I don't know. I do not know. Park outside of that one here. Just hear the stall warning horn just squeaking a little bit as the wind hits it. Oh, there's an open hangar. Let's go there. That's ours. Bravo Lima 2. That was not a very good bit of taxiing. Just ignore that. I'm on the grass. I was enjoying the scenery a bit too much. Right. Don't know what the wing span of a Eurofighter is. I'm going to hope it's less than the wingspan of a Cessna 172. Feels quite naughty even though we're just in the sim. So I think the sim thinks we're driving over grass and not going into a hangar, which is fine. Okay, before shutdown checklist, probably should put mixture on full. We've got trim back to take off. Hit the engine at 1200. We can turn off our avionics. We want to test the mags. Lift, drop, right, drop, both. Okay. Pull the mixture out. Turn everything off. Turn off the mags and set the parking brake. And that brings us nicely to RAF Lossiemouth. And our little secret Cessna jet fighter wannabe. Whew. Just disconnect from X-Pilot as well. I enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. And hopefully I'll see you on the next leg up to Kirkwall. See you again. Have a great weekend.